How you been?
I've been fine.
Good. Do you know this guy, by the way? I was just listening to this on the way up because I think I may actually even get him. Mike Viola. You know him? His music?
What?
Mike Viola?
Never
Or Viola?
heard of him, I don't think.
Oh, he, originally I got acquainted with his music through, because I was working at the music industry at Columbia Records or at Sony. And he was one of these, fledgling kind of unknown artists at the time. I think he had his first album there. Mm-hmm. And I got hooked. It's kind of very poppy, good music, and he they were marketing him a little bit like a young Elvis Costello type of thing, even though he doesn't sound anything like. He's more influenced by latter day McCartney and power pop.
You're right up my alley with all that.
You're gonna love this guy.
Okay.
And I've been keeping in touch, and finally he has a new thing. It's very different, and I was just like, I got to talk to this guy. You start thinking I could probably get him on.
Sure.
So I got in touch with him, and I think he's coming into New York soon because he has this new album. And he's going to come out, but I want to turn you on to him because he's also, by the way,
great.
from Boston.
Okay,
and you're from Boston, right?
Yeah, you had me like
hello
6 sentences ago. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't have to sell any harder. Mm-hmm. Mike Viola.
Okay,
but I'll write it down for you.
Cool, please.
But we're not here to talk about that.
We can. I mean, that would be a nice change of pace for me.
I bet. Yeah. Have you been doing a lot of these?
Yeah. But
more than usual, do you think?
No, the same.
Okay.
I mean...
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Because, the film is... I saw it at South by Southwest, just, transparency, because that's so controversial. Right. So your premiere, right?
Yeah. But you've revealed your bias now. And yes. Premiere, South by Southwest premiere.
Mm-hmm. And how did that go? Everybody was there, of course, up there. You had every single cast member, it seemed like.
Just not quite, but almost. Yeah.
And it was fun to see that Q&A.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's a delight. It's, of course, I live in Austin. We shot in Austin, so there's that added level of thrill of getting to
that dimension to
do it in our hometown. And it went well. I mean, we didn't know this was a movie where. Mm-hmm. I think there's a version of this with every thing I've done. Somehow it felt even more heightened with this one, especially given we've with the extraordinary cultural upheaval of the last couple of years. We had no idea how this was going to be received, and even with or without the political element. I think anytime I make a movie too, there's that feeling of like, oh, this is the last one. This is going to be the disaster that sinks me. And so
that has you working for retail.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd be the bar back at Double Whammies. But I don't know. We survived again, and people have been very, very kind to us, and it's been a real pleasure to get this out there. A lot of it certainly is a testament to this cast, and Regina Hall in particular, who, we experienced this on set, and now and boy, she's working hard for. I mean, you were asking me about my interview regimen. It's a lot, but it's comparatively light. Regina is out hustling night and day for this thing.
She really believes in it.
I guess so, because she doesn't have to do as much as she's doing, but she's out there every day looking, in different outfit every time, and
right.
And I've never seen her complain about everything. I've never heard anybody in a year and a half say a negative word about Regina Hall, including on the internet, where all it is negative words.
Because it's usually just I'll use this word just because for lack of another, but the haters that will actually take the time to criticize and write in, people who enjoy it are just going about their day. So I mean,
sure,
and they'll talk about it, but
sure,
they don't usually take the time to write in what a great time I had. They do occasionally,
right,
but not nearly as much as
or
as passionately.
Yeah, of course. But I don't want to jinx her.
Well,
but Regina's been a real, such a joy to work with, and
it's got to be helped in a lot of different ways, because there's different ways to look at the film beyond just the entertainment value, which it certainly has. And do you think her feeling is, well, she could have a number of different motivations for wanting or being as maybe just really believing in you and the script and the story that you guys told, but also maybe it's a very different project for her.
Yeah,
and something that she doesn't normally get handed in terms of a script.
I'm sure that's true. And then these things I've learned, these things tend to be self-selecting. I think coming from where I come from, having made 4 movies with non-professional actors in a very kind of non-professional or unorthodox casting style, where you're just going out into the world and trying to find people, and not going through layers of agents and these things. Coming into that professional world, I think at first I had this fear of it, like, well, what if we get somebody and they don't get it? What if they show up and they have Hollywood ideas of how things are supposed to be, and then what if they're a diva and all this stuff?
The trailer, yeah.
And then what I've learned, and I don't want to jinx myself now, but so far I feel like that's been a pretty self-selecting process. That the actors who don't want to work on a weird little indie know better than to read the script in the first place.
Sure.
And that the people who are attracted to the project, for the most part, kind of understand what they're getting into, and they understand the limitations of our budget, but also are excited by the opportunities that come with that.
But those people who are signed and usually have management and representation have to have that conversation before they agree anyway, because their agent isn't getting paid the amount they would prefer.
Sure.
And they're already going through something of a tussle with in some cases anyway.
Sure.
Maybe that's changing, with the nature of the business, and that and there's an understanding. I'm going to do some of these projects, and then I'll do the bigger one for us, one for them. That kind of
well, and it's part of that's the budget stuff. Also, this is it's a weird script, and so an actor who doesn't want to work on something that's a little out of the ordinary just won't finish reading it.
Yeah. Let's just tell a little bit of the synopsis, because it's at this point we keep referring to it, and then the cast, and but it's about a sports bar. Mm-hmm. There's this particular type of sports bar, which only up here I think we only ever. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think because I don't know, but I think we just had gotten Hooters, which was known originally for.
They invented it, as far as I know.
Okay,
yeah,
and that's probably true. Even in Austin, you'll find a lot more of these places where the girls are much less clothed. And that's their way to get the customers in. So anyway, this is about a place like that. It's called, as you already referred to it earlier, as Double Whammies. Yeah, and it's like on the outskirts of Austin, I assume. Or
in our fictional world, we never quite name where they are. There's kind of if you're looking very carefully at the production design, you can see that we made some. Okay. There's some references to Houston. In our fictional world, we're on a highway somewhere outside of Houston, but we did shoot in Austin.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Yeah,
that's hardcore knowledge. We don't name
more
the
than
town.
We need to know. Yeah, and true. Okay, so I'm going to actually rephrase, because I don't think that's necessarily germane. So, but it's in Texas, in on the outskirts of a city in Texas, and the bar. It's the course of a day. Regina
Hall's
Hall,
character,
of course, and who is what's her name?
Lisa.
Lisa, who's going through a real shitty day, and so we follow the trajectory of that day in her personal life as well as at the job, where she's manages. She's the manager of this bar, and really like a den mother.
Yeah,
all the waitresses love. This should be much easier, right?
Sure.
They adore her. They really respect her, and consider her a friend and somebody they can lean on.
Sure.
And they do.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of them know how to take advantage of her too. I mean, there's that aspect too. But she is somebody who brings only. Den mother is the right phrase for sure. She's an incurable optimist. So she's somebody who is there to take care of everybody. First and foremost, her girls, also the customers. She wants it to be a nurturing place, which is part of what it is. There's also this other part of what it is. She's, I think, not naive about the nastiness of it, but believes that the goodness of the place is the dominant force, and she wants to project that herself.
And so, you mean the objectifying of the girls?
Oh yes, sure.
Which she purchased, but they also choose to. I mean, give it. I mean, the film. It's not. It is political just by its nature, and of course now in the context of what you referred to earlier, the hashtag aspect of it, really is now going to be a lightning rod of sorts, I suppose, for conversation anyway, if not controversy. Yeah, I would say. I was just wondering, are there people has anybody kind of gotten their dander up about it, or do you feel like they're just going to ignore the movie? Somebody who might take it at face value.
Well, I'm not even sure what face value is. I mean, I think.
Well, the poster.
Oh, you mean that's
the poster shows
as an
girls?
Yeah, sure.
And their midriffs are bared, and they're beautiful and very, very. I mean, they're beautiful girls, and so I can imagine some people can just say, "What is that about?" But then, if you look at so many other posters, it's actually rather tame, and it shows a camaraderie, if anything else.
Sure. Yeah. I think again, I can't look anything you make, you release it into the world, and this is it's the point. I mean, it's the whole idea is to give it to people, and to give it to people with different perspectives. And so the fact that
good point,
yeah, I mean, I'm certainly happy to know that a lot of people are receiving it somewhat in some version of the spirit that I thought we intended. But for people to also, you can criticize it from any direction you want, and that's going to happen too, and that's part of the game. I think I knew, and this is again also to some degree true of everything I've ever done. It's not, as a writer, I don't really do heroes and villains. I don't. I'm not particularly interested in or good at either tearing characters down or putting them on pedestals. Even this movie, even Lisa in this movie, who is a character who I love very much and who I think audiences are connecting with and want to root for. She is a flawed character, and she makes some questionable judgments. So I think, and there are going to be some people who maybe want this to be more of an advocacy movie than it is. It's not really. It's not a message movie. It's not. We're not tearing down the patriarchy. I mean, you not to say that the patriarchy shouldn't be torn down, and not to say that you can't get some of that juice out of this movie. I'm happy for people to take some inspiration from it, political inspiration, but ultimately it's just about people. And that's the thing that I hope is always relevant one way or another. I mean, I started writing this in a different world. I started writing this at the end of 2015, and
very different world.
So, and the night of the election, and in fact, when I started writing it, I thought, I was concerned that it would just seem wildly irrelevant. That the movie would come out and people would go, these are these weird little places on the highway, and who cares? And then it was a thought that crossed my mind the night of the election. I did not sleep that night. I had many thoughts, many of them dark and painful thoughts. But one thing that kind of flitted by was, I think my script is relevant now, for better and or worse.
I agree. Right.
But again, it's something that you just got to cross your fingers and say, I hope this is going to work in any context, because it is about the people.
Right. And it's a solid enough, and that it works as a well-made film. And it's a realized piece of art, a storytelling.
Sure.
And if it is, then the conversations that come out of it are kind of just from it, not necessarily taking it apart, and trying to find the flaws in it so much, but that it's a launching place for conversations. The girls are all great, and they all are part of my use of the word flesh, but they are fleshed out, really. They're each, you know what I mean? Sure. They all have to, they're all, like any film that Andrew Bujalski would make, whether it's, mutual attraction or computer chess, or in this case, support the girls. So you talked about the election and realizing along the way of getting it out, you had all these different feelings and thoughts. I'm just curious, and it's probably the most over-asked question, or the most asked question, I should say, is how did this, because in this case I really am kind of curious, how did this story come about for you? Were you kept passing these places, a place on your commute, and that you were just, what is it about it? It's not purely just what's the word, prurient nature of it, but there's more to it. And why do people choose to work there? There's got to be just regular folks that are doing that.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think
Sorry to put words in your mouth.
No,
then.
I mean that's about it. I went into one of them about a decade or so ago, and I don't know what I was expecting, but whatever it was so it was surprising to me, and it was strange, and it was compelling, and I couldn't quite figure it out. But there were all these funny, bizarre contradictions baked into it, and I mean that the formula I tend to use, I think it's like 10% strip club and 90% TGI Fridays, Applebee's, Chili's.
Right.
It's just it's a comfort place, and so there is that. Of course, that kernel of prurience in it, but it's wrapped in so much comfort, so much selling a sense of belonging. I think it's a very, very different experience, almost 180 degrees from what they're selling you at a strip club. Mm-hmm. And it certainly struck me as uniquely American, and something that I don't think any other culture on the planet in history would have ever put up a demand for.
You're not going to see these places in Iran or something.
No,
like that.
not so much. Or even in Europe. I mean, I think we had our European premiere in the Czech Republic, and I was told when I was there, they're like, there is a Hooters in Prague, but it's but apparently it's more of a tourist place, and it's just
right. It's more of a reference than it is anything else.
Yeah, but I think ours is the culture that just intuitively gets it, and there's a bunch of them. Hooters invented this, but maybe 15 or 20 years ago there was this explosion of kind of next generation models of this, and there's a half dozen different chains. They're all trying to adapt now. They're all
I bet.
Yeah.
But you're not the spokesperson for this.
No.
Right, but you kind of become it a little bit in a small way, because you're talking to people and they're asking you about, well, how does it, and they're the people, and so all of a sudden you're like an ambassador for.
I did my research. I know about as much about it as I do about computer chess, which is to say I'm not an expert, but
you know more than you did.
But I know a few things. Yeah.
Yeah. Did the casting and the preparation? What did you do with the female cast? Did they? Because they all seem pretty natural at waiting and doing that everything involved.
Well, they're all great actors, and they're all.
Oh, there's acting.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. They acted. They're all great actors, and they're all with and coming from different backgrounds too. Shayna McHale, who plays Danielle, and who AKA Jungle Pussy,
right.
Which I'm getting better at saying.
Yeah, it's coming more.
I'm doing less stammering when I say it now, but I can usually say it once per interview.
That's a musical artist, by the way, so people know. Jungle Pussy is I'd say almost experimental, well, not maybe experimental, but definitely alternative, independent, indie artist type.
Well, independent's a great word for it. I mean, kind of R&B, hip hop, but she's great, and just a fascinating persona, beyond, and that's what first attracted me to her work, because she had not acted before, but when you make a movie like this, and you are dealing with the kind of the professional actors and all the layers around them and the agencies and stuff, there's this very unromantic aspect of it, which is that you just get sent lists, it's like, well, here's 10 names, what do you think of these people, and that's how a lot of your casting ends up happening. But I always feel like it's my job to just my due diligence. Like, let's just take a minute and think about who's not on this list. Where else can we look?
Oh, wow.
So,
which is kind of like, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes back to your casting of non-professionals. You just like, oh, this person's just got my attention in this particular way. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Shane. I mean, and it was, as weird as it is, that was Google. I think I was just like, well, I like,
really,
well, because I've had good luck with musicians, or I also feel like, just looking at cinema history, a lot of musicians are good actors.
Yeah.
So I think I was just Googling, well, who are young female artists out there in the music world who I'm too old and out of it to know anything about.
That's what you Googled?
Yeah, that was the exact search term, and she came up, and I watched some of her videos. But then I also, when you Google her, what also comes up is there are lectures of her, or videos of her lecturing on nutrition at Columbia and Yale. It's like, this woman's got some layers, and she's and she's just very compelling. So we got in touch with her management, and it was a total shot in the dark. It was, is Shayna ever be interested in acting? And she was, and I got her to come out and do a screen test. I came to New York and just had her read a scene with an actor friend, and she was great. So we went from there.
She's fantastic, and she really, like, at first you're like, who is this person? Like, she has this her own particular cadence, and just in general, the way she talks and moves and looks, and yet,
she's weirdly magnetic. I can't,
it's hard to.
The old cliche of the camera loves her. That was something I never knew what that meant until we worked, because my editor and I would sit, and anytime we had a close up of Shayna, even if she wasn't doing anything, she's just kind of mesmerizing on screen.
Yeah. Well, some of that. I mean, she does have the experience of the videos she's made, which are really compelling. I mean, they're visually stunning videos she's done. I watched a couple. I was like, who is this? And then I started reading about her, and I'm like, that's how unusual, how nice. Well, again, the movie is called Support the Girls. It's being distributed by Magnolia, who I think you've collaborated with in the past. Have you?
Yeah, they put out results and did a fine job.
Yeah, and it's opening as we sit here and speak. You're only hours away from your New York premiere at the IFC Center, and I'm going to talk to Houston too.
Oh, great!
Because he's a buddy. How is that? You can trash him if you wish. He won't hear this.
Okay.
No, Houston King. He's like just one of the great producers making all sorts of wonderful films.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you get to know him?
Houston and I started working together in 2004 or so, and we began our relationship as he was my sales rep for my my first movie, or my first two movies. So that was how he started in the business, was just selling movies to distributors.
Right.
And that was at a time, I think my first film, Funny Ha Ha, had played LA Film Festival and gotten a nice review in Variety. And so when that happens, LA people sort of suddenly know that you exist, and you start to get emails from LA people. And I remember feeling kind of grumpy and resentful at that time, because people go, "Hey, send me the movie," and this was this was before you just send somebody a link. I had to go to the post office, and I would stuff a VHS tape into it, and I would pay the $3 to mail it, and I was like, "You're not even going to watch this thing," So I sent a lot of tapes to a lot of people, and and indeed most of them didn't watch it, or they watched 5 minutes and they said, "What the hell is this?"
Right.
But Houston was somebody who followed up and wanted to work with me, and at that point, that movie had been around for a year, and so I admired, or I appreciated that he wanted to take this on, whereas I think most sales reps, rightfully so, would have said, like, everybody's seen this already and there's no one to sell it to. But he, so I thought, you want 10% of nothing, come and get it. And
right.
But we started working together on that, and then by a kind of funny series of circumstances, we had a private investor came along, and just classic angel investor, not somebody who was looking to make money particularly, but who wanted the film to get out.
Oh, wow.
And said, if I put money into this, can you guys self-distribute? So Houston and I became a distributor together, and over the course of that, he's just certainly gotten to be one of my dearest friends, and somebody who I work with on everything now. And he's I've been so lucky in everything I've done. Probably going back to birth. And having the parents I had, but I've been profoundly lucky at every step of this to just have people come out of the woodwork who are motivated by something other than getting rich, because we haven't been doing that, but to have a lot of collaborators who bring a beautiful spirit to this thing, and certainly have propped me up for a long time. And Houston is at the top of that list.
That's a nice thing to say. I always hear that people say, like yourself, lucky, and I'm certain some of this is serendipity. You're born with these particular parents who support you in different ways, but then you are making films that are connecting with people, and they're well told. They're really compelling movies. So is that luck or is that talent? I don't know, but I'm just being
luck
difficult.
is the answer, but
okay. Lastly, do you off topic a little bit, but do you you have a body of work? I'd say was this seventh feature, sixth feature, right? Do you ever watch your films? And when you do, is it a pleasant experience?
It's not, it tends to come up for one reason. Like mutual appreciation is we're now getting a nice new scan done of it, so it's going
good.
It will be released on HD streaming, which it's never done, and it'll be out on Blu-ray, which is never done. So usually there's some technical reason why I have to go back to something. And tomorrow, Saturday, we go in the opposite direction. We're actually premiering a 35 millimeter print of Computer Chess, which was a movie that was never meant to be seen on film, but we're doing it anyway. So that'll be at IFC Center in the afternoon. So for things like that, and that's a long story there if you want to talk about that, but for things like that, I end up having to revisit. And, it's very strange because all of these movies are so personal to me one way or another. And certainly something like Mutual Appreciation, which I'm also acting in. So to go back, the people in that movie get younger and younger, and my life gets further and further away from it. I'm very. A lot of really talented people that I know, I think, can't stand to go back to old work, and they're mortified. And there's some of that, but I think maybe because of what a lot of those things are to me, a lot of that for me is wrapped up in that experience of collaborating with those people. So I still love them for that reason. I go back and no matter how differently I kind of see the project or whatever I might question now, I also look at it and I look at Mutual Appreciation and I go, oh my God, Justin Rice, Rachel Cliff, Syngman Lee, all these people are so fucking good in this movie. And it's that has not gotten any less thrilling to me to see.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to getting this Blu-ray of it. Just to, I think I might even have a copy of Mutual. Anyway,
wow, that'll be obsolete once the Blu-ray comes out. It's going to be awesome.
Exactly. There you go. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great, and I'm going to urge everybody to go support the girls ASAP, especially if you're listening to this on the weekend, because that's key, right? And it's opening in also in Los Angeles. And what's did it play in Nashville? Austin. Excuse me. Did it play in Austin already?
No, it's opening everywhere this weekend. So
wide
IFC Center and Alamo downtown Brooklyn and New York. I'm going to be at IFC Center Friday and Saturday evenings. If you're in LA, Regina will be at the New Art on Saturday evening. And do not miss a chance to see Regina Hall in person.
Where?
At the New Art.
Oh, at the New Art in LA. Very good.
And in Austin, my hometown, it's going to be at the AFS Cinema and at the Alamo South Lamar, and I will be doing Q&As at both those places on Sunday evening.
Oh, so you're going to be running around a little bit.
I'm running around.
But I'll see you tonight, though, at the IFC Center.
Sounds good.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.